a garden under attack. Aphids coating the stems of tomato plants so densely the green is barely visible underneath. Caterpillars working through brassica leaves with the efficiency of a paper shredder. Fungal spots spreading across cucumber leaves, in a pattern that any experienced gardener recognizes as the beginning of the end of that plant. And the person standing in front of this garden is not reaching for the spray bottle of commercial insecticide sitting on the shelf in the garage. They're reaching for a bottle that costs less than $2 at the grocery store, has been sitting in the kitchen pantry between the olive oil and the soy sauce, and smells like salad dressing. They're filling a spray bottle with a diluted solution of ordinary white vinegar and water, walking calmly through the garden beds and applying it to every affected plant with the same confidence that someone else might apply a $60 pesticide treatment. And by the following week, the aphid population has collapsed. The fungal spread has halted. The caterpillar pressure has diminished enough that the plants are recovering rather than declining. The harvest comes in, and the total cost of the pest management program for that entire garden that season is under $5. This is acetic acid as a garden pest and disease management tool, not vinegar as a folk remedy dismissed by anyone who has actually studied plant pathology, as a genuinely effective, extensively researched, practically validated approach to managing the most common pest and disease pressures in the home vegetable garden. An approach used in organic agriculture worldwide, studied in university horticulture programs, and endorsed by extension services for specific applications in ways that the pesticide industry's marketing department has worked hard to ensure you never connect to the bottle already in your kitchen. White vinegar is acetic acid diluted to 5% concentration in water. That 5% acetic acid is enough to disrupt the cellular membranes of soft-bodied insects on contact, alter the pH of fungal growing environments sufficiently to inhibit spore germination, repel a significant range of crawling and flying insects through olfactory disruption, and create hostile surface chemistry on plant leaves and soil that many pests and pathogens actively avoid. The active mechanism is not complex. Acid at the concentrations present in household vinegar is incompatible with the biology of a wide range of garden pests. That incompatibility is exploitable, and the vehicle for exploiting it has been sitting in your kitchen the entire time. The use of acidic compounds in pest management is not a natural health website invention with no scientific basis. Research published in the Journal of Pest Management Science documented the contact insecticidal activity of acetic acid solutions against aphids and whiteflies at concentrations achievable with standard household vinegar. Studies at the University of Florida's Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences examined the effectiveness of acetic acid-based sprays against fungal pathogens, including powdery mildew and early blight, two of the most destructive diseases in the home vegetable garden, and documented significant inhibition of fungal development at practical application concentrations. The Rhode Island Institute, whose research in organic agriculture has been peer-reviewed and cited internationally for decades, has documented vinegar-based sprays as part of validated integrated pest management protocols for certified organic production. In Japan, where organic and low-chemical agricultural practices have been formally studied and promoted by the Ministry of Agriculture since the 1990s, dilute acetic acid solutions are used in commercial organic vegetable production for both fungal disease management and pest deterrence. The USDA's National Organic Program permits acetic acid as an approved substance for crop pest management under its certified organic production standards, meaning that vinegar in appropriate formulations is considered compatible with the strictest chemical-free agricultural certification in the United States. This is not a workaround or a gray area. It is a formally approved, scientifically validated tool that happens to be available for $2 in every grocery store on Earth. You already know that vinegar affects living things. You've seen it in your own kitchen without connecting it to pest management. The way a splash of vinegar on a cutting board kills surface bacteria fast enough to be a reliable sanitation step. The way ants that enter a kitchen avoid surfaces wiped with dilute vinegar. Their chemoreception reads the acetic acid concentration as a signal that the environment is inhospitable, and they redirect. The way a fruit fly trap made from a dish of apple cider vinegar captures flying insects with no chemical input whatsoever, because the acid profile is attractive to some pests as a trap while being lethal on contact at higher concentrations. You've seen vinegar used as a weed killer, poured directly on unwanted plants between pavers, burning the leaf tissue through the same acid disruption that makes it useful as a pesticide at lower concentrations. The chemistry is consistent. Acetic acid at low concentrations repels and disrupts. At higher concentrations, it kills. At intermediate concentrations in targeted applications, it manages the organisms you want to manage without the systemic effects of synthetic pesticide molecules that persist in soil, bioaccumulate in tissue, and appear in the food you eventually eat. You were not missing specialized knowledge. You were missing the connection between what you already had in the kitchen and what the garden needed. Here is the mechanism, explained without jargon. Acetic acid, the active compound in vinegar, is a weak organic acid that readily penetrates cell membranes of small organisms. When it contacts the soft body tissue of an aphid, a spider mite, a whitefly nymph, or a small caterpillar, it disrupts the pH balance inside the insect's cells faster than the insect can regulate it. Cells that cannot maintain their internal chemistry die. Soft-bodied insects have minimal protective barriers against acid penetration. Their cuticle is thin, their body mass is small, and the concentration of acetic acid in even dilute vinegar is sufficient to overwhelm their cellular defenses on direct contact. Hard-shelled beetles and bees are significantly more resistant. Their thicker cuticle provides protection that soft-bodied pests lack, which creates one of the most useful properties of vinegar as a pest management tool. It preferentially affects the small, soft-bodied insects that are most destructive to garden crops while being less harmful to beneficial insects with harder exoskeletons at the concentrations used for most applications. For fungal disease management, the mechanism is different but equally straightforward. Most plant fungal pathogens require a specific surface pH range, typically slightly acidic to neutral, for spore germination and mycelial growth. A dilute vinegar spray shifts the surface pH of leaves below the range fungal spores need to establish, without the pH change being severe enough to damage the leaf tissue of most vegetable plants at appropriate dilutions. The fungal spores land on a surface that is chemically hostile to germination and either fail to develop or develop slowly enough for the plant's own defenses to manage the pressure. Here is how you use it, because concentration and application method determine whether you get results or cause damage. For soft-bodied insect pests, aphids, spider mites, whiteflies, mealybugs, thrips, the working dilution is 1 part white vinegar to 3 parts water. This produces approximately 1.25% acetic acid concentration, effective on contact against target pests, while remaining below the threshold that causes leaf burn on most vegetables at single applications. Fill a standard spray bottle with this dilution and apply directly to affected plant surfaces, covering both the upper and lower leaf surfaces where pests congregate. The lower leaf surface is where the majority of aphid and spider mite populations live. Direct contact is required for the mechanism to work, and spraying only the top of leaves accomplishes almost nothing. Apply in the early morning or late afternoon, never in direct midday sun, because wet leaf surfaces in intense sunlight can develop burn spots even from dilute acid solutions. For fungal disease prevention and early intervention, powdery mildew, early blight, downy mildew, black spot, use a more dilute solution of 1 part vinegar to 10 parts water. Applied as a preventive spray on susceptible crops every 7 to 10 days during conditions favorable to fungal development, warm days, cool nights, high humidity, wet weather. This concentration is gentle enough for regular preventive use on virtually all vegetable plants without leaf damage risk, while maintaining sufficient surface chemistry alteration to inhibit fungal establishment. For soil acidification around acid-preferring plants, blueberries, strawberries, azaleas, use 1 cup of white vinegar per 4 liters of water as an occasional soil drench to maintain the lower pH these plants prefer. For ant and crawling insect deterrents around garden bed edges, a 50-50 vinegar water solution sprayed along borders and entry points disrupts chemical trails and discourages colonization without leaving any residue harmful to soil biology once it dilutes with rain. For direct weed killing between pavers and in cracks where no garden plants are present, undiluted white vinegar or horticultural vinegar at higher acetic acid concentrations, available at garden supply stores, burns vegetation on contact. Here is what most people get wrong, because the mistakes are consistent, and the difference between a vinegar spray that works and one that damages your plants is entirely in these details. First mistake, Using undiluted vinegar on plant leaves. Standard white vinegar at 5% concentration. Apply it full strength directly to vegetable leaves in hot weather, or repeated applications will cause leaf burn. Brown, papery patches where the acid has damaged the surface cells, always dilute for foliar application. The 1 to 3 dilution for pest contact is the maximum concentration for regular plant surface use. If you see any leaf discoloration after an application, dilute further before the next use. Second mistake, applying in direct sun. Wet leaf surfaces in intense sunlight concentrate the acid through evaporation faster than the plant can process the disruption, and burn spots develop that would not appear from the same application in morning shade. Apply early morning, evening, or on overcast days. Third mistake, expecting residual protection like a synthetic pesticide provides. Vinegar has no meaningful residual activity once it dries on a surface. The acetic acid evaporates with the water and leaves no active compound behind. It is a contact treatment and a deterrent during and immediately after application. For it to work as a management tool, it requires regular reapplication every 5 to 7 days during active pest pressure, not a single application and observation. Fourth mistake, spraying in the presence of open flowers being visited by bees. Although bees are significantly more resistant to acetic acid than soft-bodied